Record and let's dive in. So, guys, this evening we are doing a talk mainly on mindset. And I thought this was a good time to do it because I've been chatting to a lot of you guys. I think it's a lot to do with the time of year. Like, we know that January and February are quite grueling months in general, they're quite hard months, they can feel like a bit of a slog. I've been talking to you guys a lot about maybe having a slip up on your journey, maybe having something this week that's happened that hasn't been ideal and hasn't gone how you wanted to. And it can be really frustrating. It can be quite disheartening. So we want to learn basically how to deal with the fact that we are going to make mistakes. And what I want you guys to come away from this call from is maybe have a bit of a mindset shift and a bit of a perspective shift on when you do make a mistake. And I want you guys to hopefully come away from this call thinking that if there is a mistake that happens on this journey, you won't feel like everything's gone wrong, kind of like the whole thing has gone to pieces, and you feel like you've actually got an action plan where if something does go wrong, you know how to get back on track and you can do that and self-regulate and do that independently. So that's what I want to talk about this week. So the first things first, what I want to get really clear is things are going to go wrong. No matter how on it you are, no matter how perfect you are at this journey, things are going to go wrong. Like, that's just life. None of us here are athletes, myself and Adam included. We're not athletes. We are people that are balancing our health and fitness with everyday life. We all have jobs. We all have other commitments. We have family. Lots of you guys have kids. You know, you're not somebody that just dedicates their only time to working out. And obviously, we're the same and we're fully aware of that. So, stuff is going to go wrong. Like, there's always going to be stuff that goes wrong on this journey. But it's not about the thing going wrong that's the issue. What matters is what you do next. And that is what I want to make really clear today. So, first things first, I want to normalize it. Get it out there into the air, into the ether, into the atmosphere. You are going to, on this journey, by being in this program with us, you are going to miss a workout here and there. You are going to go over your calories some days. You are going to have ridiculously stressful weeks. I know that a lot of you are having quite stressful weeks. I've been chatting to you all. No, you are all going to lose momentum and lose motivation at points. What I want to make really clear is that this isn't failure. And I think we get that misconstrued a lot. We think that as soon as one mistake happens, we're done for and we've ruined the whole process, and we think that nobody else ever makes a mistake on this journey. I can very confidently tell you everybody makes mistakes on their journey, myself included. Oh my God, when I think back to me, especially at the start of my health and fitness journey, the amount of mistakes I made, like, bless me, that I made so many mistakes, and I've made a lot of mistakes that now I'm working with you guys, I can help you not to make those. But I've made so many mistakes over the way. I need you to not misconstrue doing one thing wrong with being a failure. And I need you guys to really know that. I always talk to you guys about consistency over perfection. I feel like it is kind of my catchphrase at this point, but there's a reason for it being my catchphrase. It's because it is completely true. Consistency does not mean perfection, and it does not mean that you have to be perfect. It's actually about your recovery speed. It's about when you have a setback, when something goes really wrong, when something doesn't go your way, how do you come back from it stronger? How do you recover quickly? That is what consistency is. And that is also what gives you a result and helps you to stay at this for your whole life. So I want you guys to be really clear on that. And I want to normalize making mistakes. And I think if we're not making mistakes in our journey, and if we're not willing to make mistakes, I often think that means that we're not pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. And I think that applies to this process, but I think it applies to everything in life as well. I think if we're not prepared to go for things, we're not prepared to make mistakes, and we're scared to fail, that is often the very thing that's holding us back. And it's really important for us to do that, to grow as people, to make mistakes and to own it as well. So the real problem isn't the slip up. The problem isn't the takeaway that you had on a weekend that was unplanned for. It wasn't the missed session or the missed workout that you had that week because you had a work meeting that ran over. And it wasn't just having a really busy week. I know it's half term at the moment. So I know all of you that are parents have got your hands very, very full with not only trying to like live your normal life, but you've got the kids with you all the time as well. So the problem isn't any of that stuff. The problem is what happens afterwards and the spiraling that we let ourselves do with our minds, telling ourselves things like, I've ruined it, I'll start again next week, I've messed it up anyway, what's the point in carrying on? That spiral is what costs you the progress rather than making the one mistake. The all or nothing thinking trap as well. This is something that I think a lot of you guys struggle with, and it's very much something that I used to struggle with as well. a lot of us here, I'm sure, I'm sure a lot of you guys would probably describe yourselves as perfectionists. I think that comes from people that like work hard, want a lot for themselves, always want better for themselves, which all of you guys do because you wouldn't be here if you didn't. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to continuously level up and get fitter, get stronger, get healthier, get better at dealing with your emotions and your stress, all that sort of stuff, and all the good stuff that comes with looking after your health. You guys wouldn't be here if you didn't have high standards for yourself. But the all or nothing thinking really keeps you stuck. And it sounds like this, all or nothing. If I can't do it perfectly, what's the point? This week's ruined because I've made one mistake, or I've had a slip up on the weekend. I will just hit the F it button now and I'll restart on Monday. That mindset is something that you guys need to actively acknowledge, see that it's present within yourself, and you need to reframe that and try and shed that all or nothing mindset thinking because it hinders your results and it's also incredibly stressful. It is incredibly stressful to think you can't do anything unless it's absolutely perfect. Like that is so much pressure to put on yourself as a person. And I used to do this all the time as well, so I know exactly how it feels, particularly when I was kind of younger and I was like doing my even like when I was a teenager and I was like studying for my exams and stuff. I was like, oh my God, if I don't get an A star, like my life is over and like everything's over. And obviously we know now that that's not the case. It is something that causes so much stress and so much anxiety. And it really applies to this process as well. We always want to be trying to think of ways that we can stick to our goals and look after our health with less pressure and more flow. And it comes with and it starts with shedding this mindset that we have. Fat loss does not require a perfect week. It just means that you need to have more good days than you have bad ones. Bad ones are going to be there, but you need to outweigh them with having more good ones. One off plan day doesn't undo your progress, but having one day that is off plan and then making it causing or letting it make you give up for 10 days is what is going to halter your progress. And that's something that you really need to get clear of. So let's make a commitment today for all of you guys watching. If you are someone that describes yourself as a perfectionist, you think there's no point doing something if it's not perfect the first time, you've got to shed that mindset. Not only for this process, but I think for every aspect of your life as well. It really helps you to like just enjoy life and be present more and not worry so much about the outcome. So here's what to do. And here's what I want you guys to do when a mistake does happen. And this can be anything. This can be a missed workout, going over your calories, not getting good sleep, anything. I want you to follow this protocol. So step one, we're going to go by step by step. If you guys do have like a notebook nearby, even if you want to jot some stuff down on your phone, I would recommend making notes because if you make notes, you're much more likely to retain it. So I'd recommend that if you guys do have that. But step one, I want you to remove emotion from it. I want you to remove the emotion. So when things go wrong, I don't want you to judge it. I don't want you to label it as a failure. And I don't want you to dramatize it either. And what I mean by that is potentially catastrophize it and think, oh my God, like I've made a mistake and like my whole progress is ruined. And now like Zoe's going to hate me and I'm going to do my check-in and it's not going to show that I've lost weight, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff that we do. And I say that because I am someone that naturally, if I don't check myself, can catastrophize quite a bit as well. So I understand. But the first thing you need to do is to not judge it, not label it as a failure, and try not to dramatize it. What I want you to do instead is ask yourself, okay, what happened? Let's say, for example, it's you've stuck really well to your nutrition all day, you've sat down in the evening and watched TV, all of a sudden, you've got a real urge to eat, like habits kicked in, and you fancy having something and you've gone over your calories. Instead of saying, I've completely ruined it, everything's done, instead, I want you to ask yourself, what happened? Why has it happened? What can I learn from this? What's the next action to get me back on track? Emotion and being in your feelings and staying in your feelings will keep you stuck, but objectivity moves you forward. I know sometimes it's easy said than done. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you guys can just detach your emotions right now and be robots. I know sometimes it's hard, but you need to practice it. It's the same as training a muscle in the gym. You need to practice it and just practice trying to remove the emotion from this process and from fat loss, especially as much as you can, and just seeing it as data. Data over drama. This is a really good thing to remember and a really good little mantra to tell yourself. And it's something that really helps me as well. So if you notice that you're spiraling a bit, something's gone wrong, you start getting really in your feelings, you start getting upset or pissed off, whatever it might be, I want you to think data over drama. I'm going to zoom out. I'm not going to label it. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm just going to say, okay, I've made a mistake. Why do I think I've made a mistake? Why has that happened? What can I learn from it? And what can I do now to get back on track the next day? That's what you need to do. And that is what is removing emotion from it as much as you can and focusing on data over drama. So that's step one. Step two, what I then want you to do, if you're having a really tough week and you've made some mistakes, I want you to shrink the plan. So when life gets really busy and life gets really chaotic, what a lot of people do and the mistake that people make is they just stop completely and they just like fully quit the process. They fully give up. The all or nothing thinking kicks in, like we talked about. They hit the panic button or the effort button and they say, oh, there's just no point. I'm just going to lose everything. A lot of people do that. They go very quiet. They don't reach out for help. And that's the mistake that people make rather than the actual mistake itself. So when life feels really chaotic, I do not want you to throw the towel in completely and quit. I want you to shrink the target. So if you're having a really hectic week and things aren't going your way, if you normally do 4 workouts a week, fine, take a step back and do two. Focus on doing 2 workouts if you can't make it in for the 4. Any movement and getting in for 2 workouts is so much better than just saying, I'm not going to do any. If you're meant to be hitting 10K steps a day, aim for 6K, or don't even put a step goal on it. Just say, I'm going to head out for 3 times today. I'm going to put my coat on, put my shoes on, and I'm going to go out and just get some fresh air because it makes me feel better. If you cannot track all your food and you cannot do perfect tracking, then I want you to just focus on picking something at your meal that has high protein, add fruit and veg to it for fiber. Progress in hard weeks will look smaller, of course, because you're not doing absolutely everything. So in those tough weeks, it might feel like you're not doing anything, but smaller still counts. It's exactly the same as like if you're growing your hair, for example, like your hair grows, it grows every single day and we don't notice it because it's so small and it's so minute. But then suddenly 3 months go by and we go, oh my God, my hair's got really long. Like I need to go and get my hair cut. This process is exactly the same thing. That one action that you take in that moment is going to feel really small. It's going to feel really insignificant. And oftentimes the hard part is that in this game, when we're trying to lose weight, build our dream body, transform our health, it can feel like you're doing things in the moment with very little payoff because the payoff is further down the line. And that can be hard. But you have to get used to that and you have to get comfortable with the fact that it's going to feel uncomfortable. And you have to accept the fact that I'm going to do this in this moment, i.e., I'm going to do 2 workouts instead of 4. I'm not going to feel the payoff in that moment. I'm going to feel good off my workout, but I'm not going to naturally just see myself lose weight. But I will see it and it will compound over time. And then I'll look back in a few months and I'll see the progress. So that's what you need to do in those weeks. Shrink the plan. It will feel small, it will feel insignificant, but you've just got to accept that and know that it will pay off later down the line. What I then want you to do, step number 3, is I want you to protect the non-negotiables. So when things go wrong, when you have a week from hell and it just feels like you can't catch a break, I want you to protect 2 to 3 basics. Good ones to think of are I'm going to hit my protein goal no matter what. I'm going to move my body. If I can't even make it in the gym that week because it's so crazy, I am maybe going to go out for a little jog, or I'm going to get steps in, or I'm going to meet up with a friend and go for a walk with a friend with a coffee. Move your body in some capacity. Getting a good night's sleep as much as you can is something really good to think of. Protect 2 to 3 basics that mean that you do not just come away from this process completely. And the main thing is don't disappear. Like I said, the mistake in the moment isn't what costs people their results. It's making the mistake and then letting it and allowing that mistake to derail them for the next 10 days. That cycle of starting, stopping, starting, stopping, starting, stopping is why you don't get a result. So you have to break that pattern and be willing to break that pattern, or it will repeat tomorrow. This keeps your momentum alive as well. It's really good mentally to think of this because if you come away from it completely, it's much harder to get back into it. And I'm sure that you guys know that. If you come away from this process completely for like 2 weeks or something, it feels really daunting and it feels hard to come back into it. That's normal. But this will also mean that you will keep the momentum alive and you will stay with your head in the game, which is so important. You don't need to win the whole week. You just need to stay in the week. Like I said, it will feel small, it will feel insignificant in the moment, but in a way, kind of tough. It's kind of the way it is. The payoff comes further down the line, and we kind of have to be ready for that. So that's step number 3. I now want to talk about specifically what to do when you have a slip up with nutrition specifically. I think this is probably the biggest thing that derails people the most, especially because pretty much most of you, not all of you, but most of you guys are focusing on fat loss at the moment and losing a significant amount of weight, like more than 10 kilos. So nutrition is quite often the thing that I think derails people the most when they do make a mistake. So here's what I want you to do. If you have a day where you overeat, whether that's you feel like you've maybe suffered with a bit of emotional eating, maybe you've had a bit of a binge, or someone's taken you out for dinner and you weren't allocating those calories for that dinner, so you've gone over, whatever the situation might be. If you overeat one day, here's what I do not want you to do, and I never ever want anyone to do this because it is encouraging using food as punishment, which we don't want. So I do not want you to slash your calories the next day. I do not want you to say, I'm only eating 1,000 calories tomorrow. I do not want you to skip any meals. I want you to keep fueling yourself because no matter what you eat, no matter what size you are, no matter who you are, you deserve to eat good food and you deserve to fuel your body in a way that is healthy and sustainable. So do not skip meals and never, ever, ever do that. And do not add in punishment cardio. Our bodies don't really work like that anyway. The misconception is that if I just go on the treadmill and I burn off 80 calories, I'll burn off 80 calories of food. That's not how our body works. It doesn't really translate into thermodynamics like that anyway. But regardless, I do not want you to suddenly punish yourself and berate yourself by going on the treadmill for 3 hours. I also don't want you to do that because then we're using workouts as punishment. This process and looking after your health should feel healthy, it should feel positive, and it should feel something that you can sustain. It shouldn't feel like it's punishment, like it's unhealthy, or that you need to use it to put yourself down. It should be building you up. So that's what I don't want you guys to ever, 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 ever do. And please promise me that you guys will not do that. However, what I do want you to do, if you overeat, I want you to just resume normal eating. Like I said, no matter what happens, no matter what you do, no matter what the scale says, you deserve to eat good food that fuels your body. You deserve to eat protein, carbs, fats, lots of nutrients. You deserve to have a couple of your favorite treats included into your diet when you're dieting as well. I want you to just resume normal eating. Really focus on hitting your protein because protein is going to make you feel really full. I want you to make sure that you're drinking enough water because that also just really helps when we're not feeling good. And I want you to just move on. I want you to just move on from it. Dwelling on the past and dwelling on the mistake only prohibits your success and slows down your progress in the future. So I want you to just move on from it. Fat gain doesn't happen from one meal. Even if you jumped on the scales the next day and the scales were higher, it's going to largely be water weight. It would be literally impossible. Let's say you overate, jumped on the scales the next day, and you were a kilo heavier. It would be physically impossible for you to have gained a kilo of fat overnight unless you ate like 20,000 calories, which none of you guys ever do. It's going to be water weight just from having a bit more food. But fat gain isn't going to happen from one meal. But like I said, that binge restrict cycle, that stopping, starting, and punishing yourself with food will hurt your progress. It definitely will. So when we talk about workouts as well, if you miss a workout, here's what to do for that as well. If you miss a session, try not to let that all or nothing thinking come in. Don't think I've lost all my progress. Don't try to cram all your workouts in on one day as well. Like that's definitely a mistake that people make. You are much better off doing less workouts a week if you can't do all of them, but doing those, let's say if you do 4 workouts a week, rather than cramming 3 workouts into one day and inadvertently giving those sessions like 50% effort because you're doing so much volume, like that would be crazy. You'd be better to just take 2 workouts, do one a day, and focus on pushing to almost failure in that workout, working hard in that one workout. That will get you better results rather than doing 3 sessions crammed in one day that are kind of like mid-level effort. It's that higher effort that gets the result. So I don't want you to do that. And I also don't want you to quit the week entirely as well. Just think, oh, I've missed 3 workouts, there's no point. You can definitely still get a couple in. What I do want you to do, book your next gym session in immediately. And if you guys aren't already doing this, you absolutely, without any question, should be on a Sunday, for example, slotting your workouts into your calendar. Virtual calendars are really easy for that, like Google Calendar, Notion, whatever you like to use. It's so easy for that because you can just drop and drag them. But make sure that you're getting them in, booked in at a time that you know 100% you can make that clashes with nothing. That's going to be half the battle on making sure that you get the workouts done anyway. But I want you to book the next one in immediately. And if you need to, if you're really pushed for time that week, it's half term, you've got the kids, it's chaos, just shorten it. Just take a few sets out. Do a couple of less exercises. If you're not sure which ones to take out, ask me or ask Adam. We can recommend you. Yeah, fine, like just ditch these two. Shorten it if you need to, because again, some movement is better than nothing. Just focus on showing up, and momentum returns through action. When we feel like the world is on our shoulders, it's been really stressful, it's been really crazy, that feeling is only get alleviated, it's only going to get alleviated by taking action. We can't wait around and wait to feel better and wait to feel a wave of motivation because we can't rely on motivation. Motivation is so fickle, it doesn't hang around. We really can't trust it. So you need to be willing to take action regardless. And once you take that action, even if it's a small step, a wave of motivation will come afterwards. That's how our brains work. And you've got to get that the right way around as well. So here's the identity shift that I want you all to try and make going forwards. I want you to ask yourself, what does someone who succeeds long term do when things go wrong? That dream version of you that is standing across from you, that has like done this whole process, had an incredible physical transformation, but not just physical, mental, emotional as well, and is showing up as the dream version of you that you really want to be. What do you think they would do when things go wrong? They wouldn't disappear. They would not restart from scratch. They would just adjust, try not to get emotional about it, and just carry on. I want you to try and be that person. Half this game, half this battle, I'd say actually even more than half, is mindset. It is mindset. Anyone can go on ChatGPT and get a workout plan and a calorie goal. That's not why I'm here for you guys, and that's not why Adam's here for you either. Yes, we give you that stuff and we create that for you, but we are here to help you make those identity shifts, to give you that accountability, and to try and reset your thinking and maybe shift some self-limiting beliefs that you have about yourself. Try and be that person because that person would show up no matter what, even if it wasn't 100% effort. One thing that I want to make really clear as well is when you guys are really struggling, please do not go quiet on us. That is like the worst thing that you could do. Like I said earlier, people just throw the towel in completely. They go super quiet. They don't do their check-in. They hide. I understand. I understand that it's uncomfortable to admit when maybe you're not doing something or something's gone wrong. It can be uncomfortable. But my promise to you, and I know that I've told every single one of you guys this, and so has Adam, we are not here to judge you or to tell you off. You're not in school. You guys are adults. Like, we're not here to tell you off or berate you or shame you or make you feel bad for making a mistake. We expect you guys to make mistakes. Literally, if you guys weren't here making mistakes, what would be the point of me, right? Like, what would be the point of Adam? Why would we be here? It would just be, okay, sick. You're just doing everything fine and you don't need us. That's not what this process is about. We expect you guys to make mistakes and to struggle. So I don't want you to avoid your check-ins. I don't want you to disappear from the group chats that you're in. I don't want you to hide. Struggling is very normal and it happens all the time. That's why I have a coach still. That's why Adam has a coach, because we all have moments where we struggle. But going silent is what makes it so much worse for you. Hiding and burying your head in the sand is what makes it so much worse, so much worse. And if we don't know there's a problem, we cannot help you. The communication in this process is a two-way thing. I bring my 50%, Adam brings his 50%. You guys, in terms of communication, have always got to bring your 50% as well. And as long as you communicate, you ask for help when you need it, and you're honest, you will get the result. You will get the transformation that you want. So we cannot help you guys, unfortunately, if you withdraw and if you kind of go quiet. So I want you guys to really reach out and never feel bad about that. Support is a strength. Support is such a strength. Asking for help doesn't mean that you're weak or that you're failing or that you can't do it. It just means that you're really committed and you're not afraid to admit, hey, I'm finding this really hard. I'm really struggling. Can I have help? I think there is more strength in admitting that you need help rather than pretending that you don't and pretending that everything's fine. I think that is more strength. The people who win long term are the ones who stay in communication, like without a doubt. That's always an on-running theme that runs throughout the people that smash it in this program. They are the ones that tell the truth, communicate, and reach out when they're struggling. That's all you guys need to do. So here's what progress actually looks like. Progress is not linear, and it's never going to be linear for anyone, no matter how committed you are. Real progress looks like falling off, getting back up, falling off again, getting back up faster, and getting more resilient every time. The gap between the slip up and the recovery will get shorter, it will be less painful and less emotional, and that is growth, and that is progress, and that is how it looks. Your comeback protocol should be this. So when things go wrong, to recap, I want you to follow this. I want you to acknowledge it without drama and trying to remove some emotion from it. I want you to apply that 24-hour rule. Shrink the plan if needed. Protect your protein and your movement and tell us if you are struggling. Simple, repeatable, effective. That is what you guys need to do to have success. And when you think of it like that, when it's this out like that, like acknowledge it, shrink the plan if you need to, protect your protein and your movement, and just reach out for help. It's really not that big of a deal when you think about it like that, right? The final thing that I want you guys to know before we wrap up, things going wrong is not the problem, not the problem at all. It's quitting and staying in that headspace and letting it derail you for days is what the problem is. You do not need perfect weeks. You just need to learn how to get resilient. And that only comes with being willing to fall down, learning from the falling down and getting back up. Resilience is built in that comeback. Like I said, the gap between falling down and getting up becomes smaller. You get more resilient, you get better at dealing with it. And every time you return, you 100% come back, harder to stop. That is everything I want to talk to you guys about. And I hope this was really helpful, particularly if you maybe are someone listening to this who thinks, oh, actually, I do struggle with a bit of all or nothing thinking. I think I am someone that maybe struggles with that. Maybe I have a bit of like black and white thinking, and I think it's either that, or it's nothing in the middle. The stuff in the middle is what you need to be thinking about. So I hope that it's really helpful if you guys particularly feel like you are someone like that. This is the work that we need to unpick. Like I said, in the moment, it feels insignificant. It doesn't feel like there's much change, but that is just the nature of the beast, and that is how it is. Over time, you'll look back in a few months and you will realize how much you've grown and how much you've transformed, not just physically, but in terms of your mindset and your identity shifting as well. So I'm going to let you guys all go. It's been so lovely to be back with you all, and so good to see so many of you on the call. Have a great evening, and obviously for you guys watching back on YouTube. And for any of you guys listening live, if you have any further questions, either message me or message Adam, whoever you mainly speak to. And we will send you over obviously some help with that. But have a lovely evening, everyone. And it's great to see so many of you here.